Hey everybody, I'm Videobob from Bob's Prop Shop. You know, we love DeLorean Time Machine toys, and for years we've had these Sunstar models, and there's also been the Weddles, or the Wellies. This is a 1/16 scale, or no, 1/18. I'm sorry. So this is a 1/18 scale Sunstar model, and you know, they're kind of cool, they're metal, but they're not that great. But this is what we've had for like the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, and they're pretty neat. But there's something else that just came out today and that was just delivered that I've been waiting for a long time to show you. Check this out. This is the 1/6 scale Back to the Future Time Machine DeLorean from Hot Toys. Now, this isn't necessarily an official unboxing, because I did cheat a little bit and I put it together, but we're gonna go ahead and show you what we did. Take a look at that bad boy. Wow. Man, that thing is cool. All right. Now, before I take it out, I'm gonna open the hood. You press this button in here, and that lights it up. And you can see it in its full glory. This thing is huge. Look at this thing. My gosh. Boy, they really outdid themselves with these toys. I have some of their other 1/6 scale models, and they're pretty impressive. Now, if you think this is impressive, this big, huge thing, you know what's even more impressive than a 1/6 scale DeLorean? A 1:1 scale DeLorean. Check this out. Right over here is my DeLorean Time Machine from Back to the Future. This is one of the world's most screen-accurate DeLorean time machines. And here at Bob's Prop Shop, we have built 24 of these cars since 2004, and we even contributed to the restoration of the original car that's at Universal Studios in Hollywood. So I thought this would be a really cool chance to see something that you're not going to see in any other unboxing video. We're going to be able to show you the Hot Toys version as compared to a screen-accurate real version of the DeLorean Time Machine to see what they got right, see what they got wrong. First, let's talk about the toy itself. Now, when you get it out of the box, you're going to have to attach these front bands. You have to attach these bands here. You have to plug in the little wires. There's some stickers that go inside. That little clock goes on the dash. A couple of cute little things that you have to do. It only took me about 5 minutes to do that, and I wish I had recorded it now in retrospect. But you didn't really miss much. It was some very simple assembly. Now, let's look at the cars and compare them. Now, just like in the film, the DeLorean came with 3 different hood styles. When they first started building the car, it had a little flap here for the gas, because underneath there is the gas cap, and it was a gas flap. They did away with that, and then they went to this grooved hood, just as you see on this car. Now, during the last portion of the run of the cars, they got rid of that groove and it went to a completely flat, and then they put a little DeLorean badge on the side. So you'll see they got the hood correct. So sometimes you'll see a DeLorean running around out in real life and it'll have a totally flat hood without those grooves. They did get the grooves in. They did get the actual DMC logo, meaning that they licensed this car with DeLorean Motor Company of Houston. So they paid a licensing fee for that. They've got the bright lights on, that's kind of cool. We call these the Flux boxes. They got them pretty good. You know, they've got, you know, you can only get so much detail so small. The mesh, they did a really good job. This perforated mesh, they did a good job on that. Great job on the wheels and the tires, which actually turn. They even got pretty close to the correct tread pattern. They have this nice rub strip here, mirrors, the doors open, and they have like a ratcheting effect. They even managed to get in these little reflectors that are actually on the doors themselves for real. This little pull strap, which also exists, you can see over there on the real DeLorean. Notice the wrinkles that they put in for the texture, for the leather stitching of these seats. You know, the seats in the DeLorean were done by the same company that did the leather for the Rolls-Royce. So they did a great job of that. Now I noticed some mistakes on the dash up here. See these contactors here? These are supposed to be 3-pole 30-amp contactors. You see the ones that we have on the dash. Those are the real ones. They're made by Rowan Company from 1959. they got pretty close with these, but I see where they made a mistake. You know, in the third movie, in part 3, when they made that car that went through the desert, that car was cobbled together from a bunch of leftover stuff. It was never supposed to have a close-up, and it was only supposed to be used for stunt driving. And in that particular car, they used some contactors that looked like these. And I think that when they were going through their research and looking for photos, they found a picture and they ended up modifying them to look like that. That was wrong. I wish they had contacted me and consulted with me. I could have lent them one of the originals and got that correct. So that's incorrect, unless of course this was a part 3 train car. These little black boxes that they got on the top of the binnacle here, pretty close. Not all the way, but they got them pretty close. You'll notice the real ones on the dash, those are totally screen accurate. The way that there are 3 louvers and the color coding of the wires that come out and go towards the door. On here, they kind of screwed that up. They got that going a little backwards. You can see how they have the wires going this way instead of going that way. And of course, I'm nitpicking here. I think it's pretty cute that they actually included the little small Bulkhead clock. I have that original Bulkhead clock there, and it doesn't actually sit there. It sits down a little lower, but that's fine. They even managed to get that little silver heat sink that's on top of the radio there, as well as on the little compass that fits up there. So they got some pretty cool details, I have to admit. I am pretty impressed with the amount of detail. And I'll bring the car a little closer so we can look at the interior now, because we're going to get seasick going back and forth. But I can just describe some of the things. This drive switch that they put in here, did an incredible job on that, and the wiring that runs through here. They even made this little switch so that it moves. Proper 5-speed stick shift with an actual leather cover. The wheel turns, although it doesn't interact with the wheels, but they did manage to get the 3 little colored toggle switches on there, and they did get some of the dash correct. And a lot of just the interior is done very well, done very correct. You know, they made some small, you know, goofy mistakes here in the back bulkhead, just like a real DeLorean. The door wants to fall down. But in the back here, you can see this thing here. Again, they were referencing, I can tell just from the way this is put together, that they were referencing the part 3 car. They must have got some pictures of that part 3 car that is owned by a guy named the Shays. They bought it from a guy named Desi DeSantis, who had it restored. But anyway, this rear shelf isn't supposed to look like that. That's the way it was in part 3. Flux capacitor, that's something that always bites me in the ass because it's supposed to be a dark battleship gray, and they always make it this totally bright white gray. I hate it when they do that. You know, another thing that they skimped on were these gold heat sinks. You're supposed to have some large white SCRs and wires coming off them. Again, they were obviously referencing the part 3 car. So I can see where all through the interior they made mistakes by referencing the interior of the part 3 car, the one that drove through the desert. Now, the one that was actually hit by the train in part 3 was the B unit car from the first movie that was retrofitted and designed to be exploded by the train. So let's move on back to the rear pontoon, as we like to call it. Now, this is done pretty much totally as screen accurate as we can get it. You know, this is a heating element. These aren't necessarily screen accurate because these parts are just impossible to find, but they've been milled out of metal to be as close as possible, as well as these 3 capacitors, these cannon elbows. So let's have a look and see what they did. They got the grid. They were kind of cheap on this. They just put 1 layer of it. That's supposed to have 2 layers with the piping that runs through here. They got the potentiometers, as we call them, the Pac-Man parts. Some people call them the hockey pucks, but they didn't rotate them properly. They're supposed to be facing in different directions. And they did sort of do that with these 3, and they did do a good job with some of the colored wire. Pretty impressive. Looking on the back here down inside, you can see the Janitrol heating tank. You can see this other orange tube that runs through there. They didn't get that quite right, but pretty darn close. That's an orange silicone Sikorsky helicopter tube. They got these black oil separators, which are trapezoidal, but they made them completely rectangular, so they kind of poo-pooed on that deal. Did a good job on the crossover. Now, of course, this is the hook version, which of course they don't give you the hook with it. Mine doesn't have the hook on it. Mine is actually set up to be a combo unit to be both a Part 1 and Part 2 car. And then they got a little weird with this turbine. They've got way too many rings here. There's only supposed to be one outer ring, and for some reason they have like 3. I have a whole bunch of them. And this chamber here, plutonium chamber, is based off of a 1969 Dodge Polara hubcap. They just kind of made this look a little funky. I don't know why. They got so many other things so right, and they got this kind of weird. I don't know what happened here. This little part here should be green, but the fact that it's there at all is impressive. I think they did a fantastic job on the texturing of these rear vents, because they're not supposed to be solid black. They're supposed to be slightly discolored and have these little rivets in them, and have this rubber strip on there. And if you take a look at ours, you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So when you see these together, you'll notice all these screws and things are rusty. They even managed to get, look at these 3 here. I'm impressed that they got those 3 little screws. And what these 3 little screws were for was on the A car only. That was the car that had the horns that were installed to the CO2 system to blow the CO2 out the back, the snow. So that was what held that in place. And amazingly, they picked up on that. They got those in there. Back of the car, you see the out of time. Now, here's a spot that they really, I think they messed up on. The rear flux boxes. Now, what they ended up doing was putting the same ones that are basically on top of the car and on the front. That's not the way it is. And I don't think you'll be able to even get a shot of the way those are. But the way those are, they're basically half of one. You know, the way they're supposed to be is basically cut in half, just this forward section, and then held in by a metal bracket. And what they've done here is they're just kind of dangling here, and they were lazy on that. So they didn't get that right, but they were pretty close. I give them an E for effort. All right, now come on over here, and let's look at the other side of the car. This is the passenger side. I think they did a pretty good job here. I'm going to set this right up here. The only thing they're messing up on is they're getting certain geometrical shapes out of whack. These things we sometimes call them the bread boxes. They're the 0 enclosures. They're supposed to be elongated, rectangular, and these ones just seem a little bit square to me. You know what I mean? Pretty close. They just seem a little square. Did a great job on the green tubes. These are control rods. These are atom mufflers. Did a great job on those, although they're supposed to be a gold texture, as you can see underneath. But I understand that they can't get every color right. It's a lot of work for them to do that. These blue capacitors up here. It seems to me like the wire that they used on this is orange, and really it's supposed to be red, as you can see. So, but you know, we're just nitpicking little things just to show you some examples. On the rear bulkhead, this is a Robinson gyroscope mount. They did get that on here. This is supposed to be a gold medical HP heatsink. They did get that on there. This 0 enclosure right here and the heatsink. You know, they didn't put the wires on it, but I can't expect them to do the type of work that we're doing here. This is a real 1-to-1 scale replica of the car. Now, inside, I feel like I'm carrying a baby. Okay, now, inside here, and I don't want to drop this thing. I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't light this stuff up, but they did get the plutonium chamber gauges there. But these, you had to put little stickers here, whereas they're supposed to light up, and I was disappointed that they didn't light up. However, on the back here, and we're going to have to probably swap places for you to be able to see this here. Whoops. Here, come around this side, Omar. Uh-oh. Now look at there. I've knocked one of the bands off. I'll have to fix that. I don't know if it's broken or if it just fell off, but it's very delicate, so I'll fix that in a minute. I build time machines. I can fix it. Anyway, so let's talk about this back bulkhead for just a second. They kind of did a good job here with this little high voltage relay box, but it should be over a bit and should have a little elbow there and have, you know, you can see how that one looks. This is supposed to have some wires coming out of it. I'm glad that they bothered to put it here, but it should have been over a bit, and this should have been over a bit. And these relays up here are just completely wrong. They're not even close, even a little bit. Flux capacitor is pretty cool. This gold power supply box, they did a good job on that. I mean, overall, I gotta say, as far as replicas go of the DeLorean Time Machine, this is about the best one that I've ever seen. And I'm sure I can fix this little thing here, but it is very delicate. I can see what happened here, and I you know, probably might need a little super glue for that. But, you know, I'm gonna bitch at him about the fact that this is the wrong box, and it was supposed to have a bracket here to hold it. That's why it fell off. I mean, this thing is really delicate. It's not made to be handled. Now, talking about the toy itself, inside the trunk, underneath where the spare tire goes, you take a screw out here and 3 AA batteries can fit inside there, and that's what powers the light. But they were super cool in the fact that they decided to also install this little plug, so you can plug it in just like our real cars. We put power supplies in them. You can plug this thing in and leave it lit up, and that's pretty cool how the bottom of this looks. And by the way, this is not what the bottom of a DeLorean looks like. It doesn't look anything like that. I also think it's cool that the lights light up. However, I'm a little bit disappointed that the bands don't light up, and the band should look like this. There you go. Now you can see the car lit up with the bands. The bands should light up white. In the movie they appear a little bit blue because of the special effects lighting and the way film interacts with fluorescent light. But this is how the car looks when it lights up. So I'm a little disappointed that the bands don't light up. I'm a little disappointed that the plutonium gauges and the time circuits don't light up, and that there was a few other things that are a little bit wonky. You know, when you're paying, you know, $700 for one of these things, you want everything to be perfect. But hey, it's a toy, and if you want a perfect DeLorean Time Machine, if you want one that really is screen accurate, if you want one that is like in the movie, you're gonna have to call us at Bob's Prop Shop and get one of the full scale DeLorean Time Machines. We've been building these things for 10 years. We have our own television show called Screen Machines. It's on internationally. I think in France it's called Hollywood Garage, and in a few other places in Europe. But it's on worldwide. You can check it out. We have over 3 million YouTube viewers, so make sure to subscribe and watch us, and you can check us out on the web on our official Facebook at Bob's Prop Shop, and yeah, check that out. We have a couple 100,000 fans on there, and you should be one of them too if you like this kind of stuff, because we do more than just the DeLorean Time Machine. We do Knight Rider, we do Ghostbusters, we do a little bit of everything. So I'm glad that you watched. Please subscribe to the video. Please check out our Facebook, and if you want your own DeLorean Time Machine of any size, hit me up. I'm Videobob. Thanks.